The holographic transmission flickered to life aboard the bridge of the Crimson Dominion, and Overlord Threxus felt satisfaction surge through his three-chambered heart. Before him stood the human ambassador, a fragile-looking creature named Admiral Ryan Voss, his face unnaturally calm. "Your answer, human?" Threxus demanded, his voice a guttural growl that had made countless species surrender without firing a shot. Admiral Voss clasped his hands behind his back. "We reject your ultimatum, Overlord. Earth will not submit." Threxus's mandibles clicked in what passed for laughter among his kind. "Then you have chosen extinction. In 7 cycles my armada will arrive at your pathetic blue world. We are the Krell Dominion. We have conquered 400 star systems. Your primitive civilization will be erased from existence?" "I see," Voss replied, his tone disturbingly measured. "Before you go, Overlord, may I ask you something?" Threxus waved a clawed appendage dismissively. "Speak quickly, doomed one. In your conquest of 400 systems, how many species did you face that had already conquered themselves?" The question hung in the air like a neutron bomb waiting to detonate. Threxus's eyes narrowed. "What foolishness is this?" "It's a simple question," Voss continued. "How many civilizations had you encountered that had survived world wars, nuclear weapons, climate collapse, and pandemics, all before they even left their home planet?" Threxus felt an unfamiliar sensation creeping up his spine. "None," he admitted. "Most species achieve unity before they develop such destructive capabilities. It is the natural order." Voss nodded slowly. "The natural order. Yes, we've heard about that from other species. They reach the stars through cooperation and logic. They evolved past their violent tendencies." He paused, and something flickered in his eyes, something ancient and terrible. "We didn't." The transmission ended. 7 cycles later, the Krell Armada emerged from hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system. 3,000 warships, each capable of glassing a continent. Threxus stood on his command deck, surveying the primitive system with disdain. "Overlord," his tactical officer reported, "we're detecting unusual readings throughout the system. Elaborate. The asteroid belt. It's been militarized. Every rock larger than a kilometer has been equipped with railgun batteries and missile pods. The outer planets have orbital defense platforms we somehow missed in our reconnaissance." Threxus felt that unfamiliar sensation again. "Impossible. Our intelligence showed no such installations 7 cycles ago. Sir, they built them. In 7 cycles, they converted their entire outer system into a defensive perimeter." Before Threxus could respond, his communications officer cried out, "Overlord!" Multiple contacts emerging from everywhere. Ships hiding in the asteroid field behind planetary bodies, even inside the gas giant's atmospheres. The viewscreen exploded with tactical data. Hundreds of human vessels, each one bristling with weapons that seemed to defy physics. They moved with a coordination that suggested not just military training, but something more primal. The coordination of pack hunters. Admiral Voss's face appeared on the main screen. "Welcome to Sol, Overlord Threxus. I hope you appreciate the preparations we've made for your arrival. You cannot possibly have built all of this in 7 cycles." Threxus roared. Voss smiled, and it was not a kind expression. "You're right. We couldn't have. But you see, Overlord, we've been preparing for this moment since before we left our planet. Every human child learns about the wars we fought among ourselves. The trenches of Verdun, the ashes of Hiroshima, the siege of Stalingrad. We spent 10,000 years perfecting the art of killing each other. The human fleet began to move, executing maneuvers that Threxus's tactical computer labeled as impossibly aggressive. When we finally achieved unity, Voss continued, we didn't abandon our martial knowledge. We refined it. Every engineer who builds our starships learned their trade designing weapons. Every pilot trained in simulators programmed with scenarios from our bloodiest conflicts. We didn't evolve past our violent nature, Overlord. We weaponized it. The first wave of Krell ships opened fire, their plasma batteries lighting up the void. But the human vessels danced between the shots with precision that seemed almost supernatural. They returned fire with kinetic weapons that punched through Krell shields like they weren't there. Simple tungsten rods accelerated to a fraction of light speed. Brutally efficient, terrifyingly simple. Do you know what we call this defensive doctrine? Voss asked as Krell ships began exploding around him. Scorched Earth. It's named after a strategy we used when fighting ourselves. If we can't have something, we make sure no one can. Threxus watched in growing horror as his armada, which had crushed civilizations 1,000 years older than humanity, began to crumble. Human ships rammed Krell dreadnoughts when their ammunition ran low. Pilots ejected their reactor cores into enemy formations, turning their own vessels into improvised nuclear weapons. They fought with a desperation and creativity that no simulation could have prepared the Krell for. You see, Overlord, Voss said, his voice cutting through the chaos. Every species you conquered reached the stars because they were ready for peace. They explored the cosmos out of curiosity and wonder. His eyes hardened. We reached the stars because we needed more room to store our weapons. We explored the cosmos looking for threats. And the worst part? He leaned closer to the camera. We were hoping to find some. The human fleet had surrounded the Krell armada now, a noose tightening around Threxus's throat. He had lost half his ships and the humans had barely scratched their defensive positions. I'm transmitting our surrender, Threxus bellowed, his pride shattered. Denied, Voss replied coldly. You declared this war, Overlord. You wanted to see what humans really are. The Admiral's voice dropped to barely a whisper. Now you know. We're the species that looked at the vast, infinite cosmos and asked, how do we kill it if it tries to kill us first? Threx's ship shuddered as human boarding pods latched onto the hull. You're monsters, he whispered. Admiral Voss shook his head. No, Overlord. We're survivors, and the only reason we survived ourselves was because we learned to be better monsters than anything else in our nightmares. He paused. You'll be taken as prisoners of war and treated according to the Terran Convention. Be grateful. The Geneva Convention was less forgiving. As Krell soldiers began laying down their weapons, Threxus realized the terrible truth. Humanity hadn't conquered the stars. They had simply run out of themselves to fight, and now the universe would learn what 10,000 years of war had created. The transmission ended, leaving Overlord Threxus in darkness, finally understanding why even the stars whispered about Earth.